The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
Now, our first guest today has written a proven 5-step framework to overcome the most pressing challenges in the modern workplace. Here to tell us about her book, Happiness Works, The Science of Thriving at Work. Welcome to the show, Jessica Weiss.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, Jessica. So, you were saying that workplaces are in crisis at the moment.
Yes, we have to be frank, workplace has been in crisis for a while, but we're certainly at reaching peak levels. What it is that people are suffering, quite frankly, and they're not finding satisfaction, contentment, and happiness from their work. And for me, I'm a big believer that if we are going to be spending that many hours at work, it might as well be enjoyable, it might as well be adding to our life, and it might as well be adding to our happiness.
Yeah, you spend more hours with your work colleagues than you do with your family, don't you?
Absolutely. We spend over a third of our life with work colleagues. So my belief is we might as well, a lot of people seem to think that work is work and fun is fun and the two things are separate. But the truth of the matter is, and I'm not by any means implying that work is always fun, but I do think that there's no reason to separate the two into two distinct categories. The truth is when you enjoy your work, you also enjoy your life. And when you're enjoying your life and you're happy in your life, you're also more apt to enjoy your work.
And do you think this started going down 5 or 6 years ago during COVID? Because I know things like remote work, I think it isolates people.
100%. COVID was a unique time in history where it brought a lot of things to the surface, right? A lot of things that were bubbling below the surface came up to the surface. And I think what happened with COVID is people realized, it was one of those moments, it was come to Jesus, so to speak, right? Where people said, I don't know that I want to be doing this anymore. Is this really what my life is all about? So I think that was one thing that was happening during COVID. And people really gave some thought to what their work was and what the impact that it was having on their life. In other words, why am I slugging through life when I can be enjoying it? And the second thing is exactly what you just mentioned, is at first we all fell in love with this idea of remote work, but the truth of the matter is it's quite isolating. And the most important thing that we can do for our happiness is to be connected to other human beings. And while remote work feels fantastic and flexible, and we could do it from our pajamas, and I am not telling you all of those things appeal to me too, the truth of the matter is we need human connection. So there needs to be human connection at work and in life. And that's something that is missing absolutely from remote work.
But I think that's wrong as well. I mean, I've worked from home in a different, a different life, I guess. But, not getting dressed up for work is part of the pleasure. Being sat in your PJs, you're just in a different mindset.
100%. 100%. And I'm a big believer in getting dressed, getting out of the house, all of those things, right? It makes you feel like a different human being. So it's one of these things, and I talk about this in the book a lot also. When you're exhausted at the end of the day, when you've had a really tough day at work, the thing that your brain wants you to do is you want to come home, you want to plop down on your couch, you want to vegetate, you don't want to talk to anybody, and you just want to eat your dinner and watch TV, watch Netflix or whatever it is. And that is what your mind is sort of telling you in that moment. But that your mind is telling you that's what's going to feel good. But the truth of the matter is when you are exhausted, when you are stressed and all of those things, your mind is lying to you. You actually need to get out. You actually need to make connections with other human beings. So similarly, it feels good, right? Quote unquote good to be working in your pajamas, but we all feel so much better when we get dressed, when we connect with humans, when we face the world. Our minds play tricks on us when it comes to happiness. And that's actually something that we all need to be aware of. And we all need to be taking action against that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about human connection, because I do, outside of the radio, I do a lot of networking meetings. And one lady said to me, it's a bit far for me to come. Can you do it on Zoom? And I couldn't explain to her that I don't like doing Zoom. It's not the same. I'm a huggy person, you know. I like to see people and kiss them on both cheeks.
I agree with you 100%. And you said it perfectly. It's just not the same. You don't get that level of connection. You don't get the warmth. You don't get that genuine feeling of connecting with another human being, which is the beauty of what we do.
And I think the other thing that's a problem nowadays is when I first started work in an office, I'd go to work, I'd be there for 9, and at 5 I'd close the door and that'd be it. But now with emails and WhatsApps, and everyone expects you to be working 24/7, don't they?
Well, that is also another byproduct of what happened during COVID, right? There was no clear line between when we were working and when we were not working. It all sort of got blurred together. And I talk about this in the book, and it's really important that you create boundaries, right? Work is not intended to be our entire life. We are intended to be well-rounded human beings, but it is your responsibility to create those boundaries. So what I tell people, even if whether or not you work from home or you work in an office, there needs to be a ritual around shutting down, right? You shut down the computer, but you also shut down yourself. You shut down yourself to work so that your brain can rest. You can enjoy and do the activities and the hobbies and connect with your family and friends. But that is something, again, that needs to be deliberate and intentional, but it's all around that shutdown ritual.
Yeah, work to live, not live to work.
Yes.
So what's the answer then, Jessica? Tell us about this 5-step framework.
So I've come up with a 5-step framework for helping people to find more happiness at work. And what's different about the way that I view this than maybe some other happiness, quote unquote, happiness experts or self-help experts is I really ground my framework in very tangible, tactical tools. So this is not, I always make this joke. I am a terrible meditator. I have been working on it for years. I cannot seem to do it. I know it's good for me, but I cannot seem to do it. So my book is for people like me, okay, who need very tactical tools that we can use to start to build that happiness at work. So my framework is 5 steps. It's connection, resilience, optimism, progress, and trust. And what I say is, yes, you can do all 5 of those, but I like to present this almost as a happiness buffet. So in other words, here are the 5 dishes. You have to have connection at work. You have to have workplace friendship. You have to be able to be resilient. You have to have those skills and tools to bounce back. You have to view life with a sense of optimism. And it's not like rose-colored glasses optimism. It's a strategic kind of optimism. You have to build in this idea of progress into your day every single day so we all feel a sense of accomplishment. And then you have to be able to trust the people that you work with. You need to be able to go into work and to feel that no one's judging you or punishing you. But all 5 of those dishes is the happiness buffet. Some of them will appeal to people and they'll want a double portion. So in other words, some people will say to themselves, yes, I firmly believe in this notion that I need friends at work. I know that that is the thing that makes the difference between my being miserable and my enjoying the day. So I say, fantastic. Take 2 helpings of connection. And then there are other people who really believe maybe in this idea of trust. Excuse me, that they work on a team with people and they really want to cultivate this idea that I need to work with people that I trust. I need to work with people who I know have my back and I have theirs. And if that's the case, you take a double helping of the trust part of the framework. But the truth is there's 5 dishes. They all work marvelously. They're all within our control as human beings, which is my favorite thing. You don't have to wait for somebody else to do it. This is all within your control, and you can control your own happiness at work.
Sounds great. What about people who can't get organized? Is it a good idea to make to-do lists?
Oh, so I have a really interesting take on a to-do list. So I think a to-do list is fantastic. We all have to-do lists, and they absolutely, get us focused on what it is that we want to do. But my perspective on a to-do list, if you want to use your to-do list to generate more happiness in your workday, instead of having a to-do list, what I want you to do at the end of the day, which is what many of us do, right? What many of us do at the end of the day is we look at our to-do list and we say, okay, I still have these 5 things left to do. I'm going to move these 5 things to my to-do list for tomorrow. But what I want you to do is to create a done list. This completely shifts your perspective. So what I want you to do at the end of the day is to write down everything that you accomplished that day. Now think about the feeling, right? How that feels different when you have a list of everything that you have done versus a list of everything that you have left to do, right? Right there, even as I say it, I can feel it myself. That sense of accomplishment gives me pride, makes me look forward to the next day, gives me feelings of motivation and ambition. So that one little small shift in perspective from a to-do list to a done list, right? To a list of your wins for the day is something that will completely change your level of happiness on a day-to-day basis. I cannot stress enough what a wonderful tool that is.
Yeah, I can understand that because I know by the end of the day, if I've got lots of lines through the things that were on my to-do list, it's a great feeling, as you say.
Exactly. There's nothing better than crossing things off, but imagine now making a list of everything that you've done. So it puts that feeling on steroids.
And I guess because obviously work is important, but work-life balance is important. Like you say, when you've got a family, when you've got a home, it's important that work doesn't take over, even though it's very easy nowadays for that to happen.
Yes, I agree with you. But the perspective that I wish that more people would take, and it's really a little bit about broadening the way that you see life. So for me, my belief, and I started this conversation by saying this also, but I think that we can really kind of double click on this idea of when you are happy at work, you are happy in life. And when you are happy in life, that cascades into your happiness at work. So while there needs to be a balance, right? It's never about 100% working, but nor is it about 100% not working. You know, we all have this fantasy that, oh, if only I could move to a tropical island. It's freezing. I live in New York City. It is freezing cold here. Believe me, I am dreaming of moving to a tropical island. But the truth is that actually is not what is going to bring you more happiness. So the truth is we need to find that sweet spot where we love our work and we love our life, and the two are integrated so that the happiness that we feel doesn't begin and end in certain segments.
And where did this all start for you, Jessica? Because you've been 15 years doing this sort of leadership and organisational development.
Yes. So I've been working with big Fortune 500 companies in the US and Canada. So all of the brands that you can imagine, American Express and Citibank and Unilever and every kind of company like that. I've spent the past 15 years embedded in those organizations, working with teams, helping them to understand what is the definition of happiness at work and why should we even care about it. And the truth of the matter is, when I go into these big corporations, I often get looks like, happiness at work, why do I care about that? But the truth is, all of this falls straight down to the bottom line. So when people love their work, they do better work, and ultimately they make more money for their organizations. So for me, this was a personal journey in terms of finding what was my sweet spot, right? What was the work that I really loved? I spent my days talking about it, conducting surveys and interviews, really trying to understand what is happiness at work. So when all of these things started to click for me, I started to design my own happiness at work, right? I created my own dream job, which is something that I talk about. And I think that if more people gave this a bit more time, we'd have a little bit more happiness in our lives.
And is this your first book?
This is my first book. It was a baby. It took, everybody says a book is quite an undertaking, and I am here to say that it absolutely is, but I am so proud of it because what I love about it is that I think it is so practical. It doesn't need to be read front to back. You can sort of open it on whatever chapter most appeals to you. It's almost like a guidebook, I would say, right? So if you want to dig in and learn more about optimism, turn to the chapter on optimism. If you want to dig in and learn how do I become more resilient in this world, I can't think of a tool that would be more helpful than learning how to be resilient. Open the book and turn into that, dig into that resilience chapter. But yes, the book, it's my first book, and I invite everybody to open their minds and to experience more happiness at work.
Sounds good to me. Well, congratulations. And for our listeners, the book's out now. It's called Happiness Works, The Science of Thriving at Work, and it's by Jessica Weiss, who we're chatting to now. If people want to find out more about you, Jessica, do you have a website or social media?
I have all of the above.
Okay.
So you can find me on my website, which is my name, www.jessicaweiss.com. And I also have a fantastic Instagram page where you can find me as THE, Jessica Weiss, where I post interesting tidbits about bringing more happiness at work and happiness in life. So please visit me in both of those places, and you can find me on LinkedIn and every other social media platform that exists.
Well, it's been great to chat to you, Jessica. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.